Parental wounds show up differently for everyone. Mother wounds, father wounds, oftentimes childhood abandonment and neglect will show forth in our adult lives. Today I'm going to really just be talking about repairing father wounds, since I do speak a lot about mother wounds, but I do know that father wounds are very real. I myself have one, and I see it occur throughout day-to-day life. So my biggest thing to share with y'all today, my handy dandy notebook, period. Repairing father wounds does not mean you engage in toxic masculinity. Now, this is for women and for men, because you can be a woman and have toxic masculine traits. You can be hyper vigilant in comparing yourself to other women. You can be you can be in a setting where you're constantly judging someone, constantly feeling like you have to be overbearing, be overly aggressive, be overly protective. Being hyper vigilant in those actions are a form of toxic masculinity, whether we like it or not, especially with men as well. Feeling like you have to be extra bravado, have extra aggressiveness because you did not have that male role model in your life. Then we have to speak about dating. Men to baby you. You don't go into the dating world looking for a man to be your father. You don't do that. Nor do you go into the dating world looking to be a father to someone else. That's not what dating is about. It's about coming together. It's about union. It's about two puzzle pieces coming together. You're oblong, they're flim flam. You put the oblong flim flam together, and you guys got connected puzzle pieces. When you have a father wound, especially when you didn't get protected, or that father did something wrong to you, or they didn't have that support, you'll often be looking for ways to recompensate for that loss that you had. That will then oftentimes lead to toxic attachments. What I do suggest people do, honestly, first and foremost, is journal. Journal how you feeling. When you're watching that TV show and you see a man taking care of their kid, prime example with Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, when Will was like crying to Uncle Phil about why does his dad love me. If watching that made you cry, that's fine. You need to go journal. And I know you're thinking, well, I gotta write down how I'm feeling. I know how I'm feeling. Because when we express outwardly how we're feeling, it allows for our mind to also explain why we feel that way. Which brings me to the next thing. Like, you need to find out what you're really hurt about. Are you hurt because they weren't present? Are you hurt because they didn't support you? Are you hurt because you see everyone receiving something that you feel like you deserve to receive? It doesn't mean that you don't deserve to receive it. You're just pinpointing where the pain came from. And then that will lead to something even deeper. You have to realize that they are people too. Oftentimes, because of certain, you gotta realize that they are people too. Oftentimes, we put parents on this pedestal because of what we've been taught. And of course, you guys know the video cut off a little bit, so now we're restarting. I'm using Snapchat. You gonna deal with it or deal with it not? Oh well. But the point I'm trying to make is, we put these people on such a high pedestal, and we seem to forget that prior to them being parents, they had lives. They were probably good lives or bad lives. We don't know. They don't tell us everything. We get told what they want us to know. If you have a parent that does disclose their life prior to them being a parent, you'll then realize that you placed them higher than you needed to. You expected more from them than they needed to, especially if they were someone who couldn't even deliver in school. Like, if, or maybe they were terrible children to their parents. Like, if they were a terrible child to their parent, they're going to be a terrible parent to their child. My biggest suggestion to everybody who watches this who does have a fatherhood wound, or a father wound, if you would, engage in activities in group settings that help build a goal. Hearing congratulations, getting an applause, hearing you did it goes a mile, goes miles, and it does wonders for the emotions. It does wonder for your self-esteem. It does wonders for your mind. Just being able to have someone say you did a good job, that makes you feel good, even if it's not coming from the person that you wanted to. And again, we're at the stage now where we have to realize we may not get that from them. You may even desire to ask them why, and you won't get the answer that you want. It's because the answer that you're seeking, there's not an answer to it. The question that you're asking to be answered, there's no answer to that question. They won't be able to answer that for you because they weren't able to provide it for you prior. So as an adult, and they're even growner adults, they're not going to be able to provide you with that. You're going to have to be the one to provide it for yourself. And I know you're like, damn, Imara, why I gotta do everything for myself? Why I gotta? Because it's you. If you're not gonna take care of you, who's gonna take care of you? We've already established we didn't get the childhood rearing that we needed. So what are we gonna do? Sit and cry about it? Or are we gonna sit and cry about it and do something about it? The second thing I suggest, honestly, is seek a healthy mentor. Seek healthy mentors. Even if they're virtual and they don't know that they're mentoring you. Watch somebody online that resonates very, very highly with how you want to be seen and heard and valued. Now, I'm not saying to go out on the street and go find somebody who's, dealing drogas. No. No, I'm not saying that, because oftentimes that's what happens to young boys. They end up in the street around some street dealers because they got the money and they got the girls and all that stuff. But half the time they also have father wounds as well. Find someone whose life you want to emulate, or whose life is that you want to have a life like. Now, I'm not saying compare yourself to these people, because comparison is a thief of joy. What I am saying is, if you're saying, yeah, I want to own a business, you need to surround yourself with people who own businesses. You need to go around those men who own businesses. If you're saying you want to be a good husband, find people, and it's not hard. When you push out to seek something, you'll find it. Literally, seek and you shall find. When you push that out to find it, you'll find it. So if you want to be a good father, a good husband, look for people around you who are that way. And if you're looking around and you don't see none of that, you need to change who you're around, because that means you're not going upwards. You're just at a constant. And we didn't come here to be on a constant. Like, this process is to be learned. Yes, we're supposed to enjoy it, but we're supposed to be growing. Even if it means a little ebbs and flows. But at least it's not a constant. I really, really, really hope that y'all take the time out to listen to this video, and even just take one thing from it. Even if it just be journaling. Not my thing, even if it just be journaling. Even if it just be, okay, you know what? Let me figure out why I feel this way. Why do I want this person in my life? Especially when they didn't want to be there in the first place the way that you need it. I really hope this helps y'all. I love y'all so much.